Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the KTC 24-inch computer monitor. KTC did send me the sample, but I want you to know that any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Take a look at the retail box and packaging. We have a couple of features highlighted down here in the corner. Our product info on the side. Our model number is the H24V13. And then it's the same thing on the other side, as well as this side of the box. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature consisting of our user guide and manual with setup instructions and controls, as well as some troubleshooting and tech specs. We also have our warranty card. This does come with a 3-year warranty. Next, we have one included HDMI cable, power supply with barrel connector. We have our stand in 2 pieces. It'll just clip in place, so tool-free installation. And last but not least, the display itself. Let's look at that in more detail. Here's a look at the front of the display. We have a 24-inch screen size measured diagonally, bezel-less design. Looking at the screen in the light, the pixels will stop right about at the tip of my thumb right there, with just a little black border on the screen, and then that fingernail width bezel right there. KTC logo and branding down at the bottom. Here's a look at it from the very top. Get a feel for how thin this monitor is. It gets thicker towards the middle side of the monitor. Here's the side view and the other side. And then we'll flip it upside down. And now we'll look at the very back. We have a VESA mount option 100 by 100 if you're interested. We have our power and menu navigational button down here, Kensington security lock, additional product info. Then you'll notice we have our power plug port right there, DC, HDMI, VGA, and headphone jack right there. See all that up close. Now let's go ahead, let's get this set up and try it out. All right, our monitor's plugged in and powered on. First things first, let's make sure we're getting our 1080p Full HD 100Hz refresh rate. Looking at our Windows advanced display settings, that is correct. We're getting everything we should be. Technically 99.650 Hertz. Now let's go over the monitor's built-in menu settings. On the back of the monitor, you'll press down to bring up the menu, and then you'll be at this screen where we can look at our different settings here. We'll just cycle through each one so you can get a better feel for what you're able to change and control. They do have a low blue light option, which is great to see. So a very basic menu. At least at the bottom here still, we get the readout of our model info as well as our current resolution and refresh rate all right there on our menu. Really quickly, I thought I'd walk you through the different image presets here. So it's going to be under the eco mode setting. So depending on the content that you're consuming, you can pick and choose and cycle between these. Standard, internet, game, movie, standard, internet, game, movie. You get the idea. They're each going to change brightness, our contrast, just a little bit here. So pick and choose which one you want. I also thought I'd show you to toggle on or off HDR. It's this simple. And take a look how it's changing the image quality here. Honestly, it looks like super interesting. The only thing it's doing here is increasing the brightness to 100. So there's the HDR that you get with the KTC monitor. You can just toggle it on or off if you want to bump up the brightness all the way to 100. Let's have a little fun and look at some different UFO tests. First up, this is the frame rate test. So we have different FPS values moving across the screen, shooting across space, I should say, at different FPS values at 100 Hertz for our refresh rate. So at the bottom, 25 FPS, look at how sputtery and shaky and not smooth the UFO is. It looks better at 50 FPS, but there's still a noticeable difference as we jump up from 50 to 100, as you would expect. This test is just showing you the importance of those higher FPS values in if your monitor and system can push and handle them at higher refresh rates so we can see smoother footage, specifically in gameplay. And for our second test, we got the UFO ghosting test up on the display right now, and no surprise here, we do have ghosting. I wanted to show this nonetheless because with that 100 Hertz refresh rate, I know a lot of productivity people out there are still going to use this for some casual gaming, and that's where this should stay. Casual gaming. With this VA panel, I wanted to test it out for any backlight bleeding, and looking at this screen, we have a black image pulled up here, and we turned off all the lights and looked at it in the dark. I noticed just a little bit around 3 of the corners of this display, not all 4, just 3 of them, and just a teeny tiny bit. Honestly, less than I thought there'd be for this particular panel, so we'll call that a success. Now a simpler test, how does it look to browse the web? So we have YouTube pulled up right here with their trending page. We have different video thumbnails and previews loaded here. Take a look at all of the different images, fonts, titles, get a feel for its responsiveness. It's very smooth. Now here's a look at The Verge, popular tech blog, lots more images, lots more fonts. Let's just go ahead and we'll click on an article here. Look at the colors, the clarity. Very clear and crisp. And even for being a VA panel, looking at it off to the side, I feel like the technology's come a long way. They've definitely improved that viewing angle, and there's no distortion. The colors still look the same. So that's great to see. And then lastly, shopping. Can't forget about e-commerce. Clear, crisp, no issues browsing the web. It's time to get out our magical red box here and test out the input lag on this display. Now, input lag is different from response time. Input lag is going to be the amount of time it takes for your monitor to display a signal on screen from when the source sends it. So that's what we're timing right here. Let's see the results. So at its lowest, we're showing 1.4 milliseconds, followed by something probably in that 8 millisecond range. 8.8 milliseconds. And then lastly down here, 16.2 milliseconds, not bad. For those wondering, those input lag results were nearly identical to the 27-inch curved gaming monitor from KTC that we have also reviewed. Moving on to color accuracy, let's talk about this monitor through the lens of DisplayCal. So KTC advertises 104% sRGB for the coverage. And let's take a look at our results here. So first up, starting with sRGB, we got 98.4% coverage and 128.7% volume. Moving along to Adobe RGB, 80.2% coverage and 88.7% for our volume. And lastly, DCI P3, 91.1% for our coverage and 91.2% for our volume. So did really well overall. I'm pleasantly surprised. And DCI P3 is definitely going to be a strong suit of this monitor, which is interesting compared to the 27-inch KTC gaming monitor that we just reviewed. It didn't perform this well in the coverage or the volume for DCI P3. We haven't forgotten about gaming, so let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some gaming footage on this monitor from some popular games. haven't forgotten about you console gamers. First up, we have our PlayStation 5 connected here, and on our PS5, we'll be able to get 1920 1080p at 60 Hertz. So that's what you can expect using your PS5 with this KTC monitor. And Xbox tells the exact same story. We have the Xbox Series X connected here. We'll be able to get 1080p resolution at 60 Hertz. So where does that leave us with this KTC monitor? Well, I gotta tell you that compared to the competition, there really isn't any. At this entry-level point, this is one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, monitor you can get at the time that you're watching this for that 24-inch 1080p spec. The Sansui and Scepter monitors will compete with this one. The Scepter monitor is going to be 75 Hertz, whereas the Sansui monitor is going to be 100 Hertz, so almost apples to apples, or it is going to be apples to apples, and they're all neck and neck at that lowest hanging fruit portion. Now, with that being said, you get what you pay for. That definitely rings true here. You're missing built-in speakers. You have a very subpar stand, a very basic design, but they still give us that near bezel-less design on this. And actually, this monitor overachieves with its color accuracy and viewing experience. If I'm going to rank those three brands, it's going to be KTC at the top, followed by Sansui, and then Scepter. So a very capable VA panel here, definitely geared towards that productivity workplace market, but with that 100 Hertz refresh rate, casual gamers, budget gaming, things like that, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Again, you get what you pay for, so don't get me wrong there, but at the same time, a still very enjoyable monitor. If it's no monitor versus this monitor, or not upgrading versus this monitor, you'd be better off with this monitor than without.